The radar network that saved Britain in 1940, the cryptographers who cracked Enigma, and the quiet, methodical intelligence work that supported Allied offensives, all of it impressed a military machine that prided itself on technical mastery. But no Allied army transformed German opinion as radically as the Soviets did. When Operation Barbarossa began in June 1941, most of Hitler's generals viewed the Red Army with contempt. Nazi ideology had painted Slavs as subhumans, incapable of modern warfare. The Germans expected a quick, decisive campaign, perhaps 6 months at most. Instead, they encountered something they had never faced before, an enemy that refused to die. At first, the Red Army seemed disorganized, poorly equipped, even desperate. Entire Soviet armies were surrounded and destroyed. Yet the deeper the Germans advanced, the fiercer the resistance became. Cities refused to surrender. Soldiers fought to the last bullet. Field Marshal Ewald von Kleist, reflecting years later, admitted the shock. From the very beginning, he said, the Russians proved themselves first-class warriors. Our successes in the first months can be explained only by better training. Once they gained experience, they became first-class soldiers. The transformation of German perception reached its peak at Stalingrad. What began as another siege turned into a nightmare. The Red Army's encirclement of the Sixth Army shattered the illusion of German superiority forever. When the frozen remnants of the Wehrmacht were captured in early 1943, even the most arrogant generals realized they had underestimated their foe. Stalingrad became more than a military defeat. It was a psychological reckoning. The same officers who once mocked the Soviets now spoke of them with awe, even fear. The Red Army's capacity for sacrifice, its willingness to fight in conditions no Western army could endure, left an indelible mark on the German psyche. General Franz Halder, chief of the Army General Staff, wrote bitterly in his diary, "Russian troops are fighting with the greatest tenacity and severity. Their endurance is astounding." It was a far cry from the arrogance of 1941. By 1944, the German High Command had no illusions left. They faced an enemy that had learned from its mistakes, rebuilt its army, and adapted with terrifying speed. Soviet operational art, the use of deep battle, massive coordination, and deception, had surpassed the tactical brilliance of blitzkrieg. The hunted had become the hunter. In contrast, Hitler himself maintained a bizarre mixture of hatred and admiration for the British. He had long seen them as natural allies, fellow Aryans misled by what he called Jewish influence. This warped perception affected German strategy early in the war, leading to fatal hesitation during the Dunkirk evacuation and misplaced hopes for negotiation. But his generals, hardened by years of combat, knew better. They respected the British and Americans not because of ideology, but because of what they had endured and how they had learned. The Allies' coordination, their ability to combine land, sea, and air power on a global scale, astonished even the most experienced German staff officers.